Hello and welcome to Low Budget Gaming and welcome to another first Descendant video. So this is the big video for season 2. Well, when I say big, I mean the important video, and that is the ultimate SHAREN build. Now SHAREN got two new mods, Transcendent mods, Area Suppression and Ambush. And I kind of had my build ready a couple of days ago, but I wanted to test it further, and my intention is that we want both the mods to be usable with the same set of mods. So the build is same. We are just swapping out the Transcendent mods and we are getting a decent result with both of them. Online, it seems people prefer one over the other, and both are fine in my opinion. Both have their use cases, both have their limitations in my opinion. And the build I have tested this over with today's dungeons, the 400% ones, and mostly on the Magister Lab dungeon. Now, it was a Frena day today in the 400% dungeons, so I did do a few public runs, but because there were so many Frenas, because we are getting a toxic boost in both the dungeons today. So that's why I went with a solo run. I have recorded the footage. I'll go over it towards the end of the video. I'll not do a run. I'll just run the gameplay and talk over it. So this is the final build that I'm satisfied with, having completed the 400% dungeon several times. So what we have is a reactor that uses skill critical hit rate and skill cooldown. Now I have collected a lot of reactors for SHAREN, and this was the best one I found because I was working with low cooldown, trying to get the cooldown as low as possible because I wanted to save on a duration mod because we can't squeeze every mod in we want. So by doing the cooldown lower and lower, I was able to get a build where I can save on not using a duration mod and get more health instead. Now, as you can see with our health, we are insanely tanky with this build. 18,900, almost 19,000 health. And we have 500 shields, 10,000 defense. So we are very solid. You'll be reviving your teammates who are getting knocked constantly. So what else? The external components, you can use a Slayer set because you'll get 26% instant power. The reason I'm not using it is because I just couldn't find the roles I wanted on the sensor. I wanted max MP and MP recovery out of combat in gold, and I just couldn't find it. So I have this one here, which is the closest. Now it has shield instead of defense, so that is also a negative. MP recovery is better on the Slayer sensor, but max MP is only blue, and I ran the Void boss over and over, and I just couldn't get a better one. So unfortunately, I couldn't use the Slayer set, and I wanted good health and defense to begin with. The other one you can try is the Supernova set. So Supernova set is basically tailor-made for SHAREN. You get electric skill power boost of 8.6%. Again, not anywhere near the benefit of the Slayer set, because Slayer set gives you a skill power which is not electric or fusion. So it's a different category altogether and multiplies and gives you even more power. But at least you'll have something here. So you get electric power of 8.6% and skill power, fusion power of 12%. So that is also good power modifier. And then you have the perk of the Executioner's Thunderbolt on the enemy location. It's pretty cool. You can work with that. But again, depending on the rolls that you get on the sensor. And this is once again another one with a lot of shield. So you end up being very squishy. So I decided to just mix and match whatever I had to come up with something that I can use. So I got a normal HP support with double rolls of HP, and we got a blue MP recovery out of combat. It's not that important. The MP recovery out of combat, MP recovery in combat is more important. Then we have the annihilation memory. We got HP and defense. Again, defense isn't the best, but it's still something there. And then MP recovery modifier, that is also something useful. And then the final one, not important, I wanted the HP and I wanted an annihilation sensor because I wanted the two set benefit of the 5.7% skill duration. And another reason to use this is to save on that duration mod I was talking about earlier. So with that being said, let's have a look at the build. Also, if you hold the blue Beetle in your hand when you're running around, you get an extra critical skill hit rate. So if you see here, when you're using a fusion ability, which is what SHAREN uses, you get a 100% trigger rate on critical hit rate for 10 seconds. So you hit an enemy with your fusion skill, you get 10 seconds of extra critical hit rate, which is fantastic. Now this is fully enhanced. So that's why you get 115. Lower numbers for less enhanced guns, I think. Anyway, enough talking. Let's now look at the build. So I'll show you the two mods and explain a little bit in the lab, and then we'll go over the footage in the dungeons. So first we have mods for critical hit rate, critical hit damage. So we have these two mods, both of them combined to give you critical hit rate and critical hit damage. This one gives you more critical hit rate. This one gives you more critical hit damage. If you have both of them, you get the same total. Then we have critical hit damage. So total critical hit damage is 207%. Now, if we did not have the blue beetle in our hand, we could use skill insight, which also gives us 115%. So this is why we get the same benefit by just holding the blue beetle, and you can save this mod and put something else instead. Okay. So next, what I wanted was as much cooldown as we could get. So we went with MP conversion. This gives us 36%. 36.5% cooldown, and we lose a little bit of max MP. This is why I wanted the role of max MP on the sensor. Then we have nimble fingers, 25.6%, and we also get normal power from focus on electric and focus on fusion, and these two also give 6.1% cooldown on each of them. So you can use the electric specialist or the fusion specialist. These give more power, so this gives us 81%, this gives us 77%, so it's only a little lower, but we get 6% cooldown, which is what we really want. So we went with both the cooldowns here, and we are getting 74.3% cooldown. Now remember, the reactor has 7% cooldown, and also, did I mention the inversion? Because inversion, you can also use inversion reinforcement to get some extra perks. This one here, RK boost, skill cooldown 15.5% if you hit 5 or more enemies with a skill, which will be something we can do with SHAREN. So 15.5% cooldown, skill speed and range increase modifier plus 11% for 7 seconds with a 25% with a 25-second cooldown. So, and also you can use this one here, heightened sensory cells for 10 seconds. So when you're close to an enemy, every half a second you get either 20% of max HP or MP by 8.5% of max MP. So these two will also help you with the build. So back to the build. So we got the cooldowns, we got the crit damage, we got the normal damage as much as we can. Now what we are using is some quality of life mod. So I wanted range because both of them kind of have range issues, both the two mods, and I'll show you in the lab in a minute. And then I went with simple two mods to increase our health. You can use something else if you want, like you can drop one of them and go with the duration. If you did not use the two pieces from the Slayer set, you'll get more duration with the skill duration, is it called? Yeah, skill extension. So you'll get 36% more duration. I wanted to use this, but I also wanted to be tanky so that I can revive, because when I was leveling up SHAREN, a lot of teammates were also doing this. A lot of SHARENs were there, and a lot of them were just getting knocked constantly. There was this Keelan who was apologizing constantly because he just kept getting knocked constantly. Anyway, so that is the build here. Now let's show you the ambushed mod in action. Then I'll just simply swap out this and put the other one in the same slot, and we can see the difference. Also, as you can see, I have maxed out 4 of her, 5 actually. 5 of her Transcendent mods. All of them are surprisingly good, and each one costs 5 million gold. So I'm out of gold now. But anyway, let's get into the lab. We have the Order of Truth. Order of Truth 100. Let's turn off the invincibility, and now we have the ambushed mod. So the ambushed mod, what it does is changes our third ability, which was the one that stuns people, into something called frangible rounds. And this one has a lot of power, and when you throw it at an enemy, it does a lot of damage, explodes, and kills nearby enemies, basically. So initially it comes with a 3.5 meter radius, and we have increased it to 6.7. Okay. So what we are going to do now, another thing I want to mention here is the way this works is if you are in cloak, in active camouflage, and you kill an enemy, you go back into cloak. That is how this mod works. Okay, and also you do more damage when you are in cloak. So let's first do some damage without being in camouflage. about 470, 2.4 million with the initial hit, and then it was 479. Okay, so let's summon them again, and this time we will go into cloak. Okay, let's look at the numbers now. 4.5 million. Okay, insane, as you can see. Now, regarding the duration, let me just show you a quick demonstration why I have duration. Not duration, I mean range. So both of these mods I feel suffer a little bit with the range issues. So if we remove this, and let's just throw at the middle guy here. We have 6 of them standing out of 9. Okay. That when I say range, I don't mean how far she throws, I mean how much damage radius we have when we hit the enemy. Okay. Now what we are going to do is we are going to add the mod pack. Range. Okay, now we'll do the same thing. We'll hit the one in the middle. And now you can see we got, how many did we get? 6 out of the 9. Okay, so that is why we want the range. Okay, now that we have the range, let's just show you how this works. So you go into cloak, you hit the enemy, you stay in cloak, you hit another enemy, and you stay in cloak, you hit the third enemy, and you keep hitting and hitting and hitting. As long as you hit and kill an enemy, you will stay in cloak. Now, on paper, this sounds fine, and in 400% dungeons, it works most of the time. But as you saw with these 9 people here, I had to hit them 3 times to clean up the whole thing. So let's try again. Let's hit this one, see if we can get them in 2 attempts. Yeah, so you still have to hit them multiple times. So this is basically how this mod works. You hit an enemy, you kill them, you go into cloak, you hit them again, you go into cloak, you hit them again, you go into cloak. Now, a lot of people don't use cooldowns. The reason I'm using so much cooldown is I've tried to get the cooldown to under the duration of the camouflage. So in case you don't target it or you have a less dense area of enemies, you can still quickly go back into cloak. And the third ability, this has a duration cooldown of 2.6 seconds. Also notice the range has increased because the inversion thing has triggered, I think. So 2.6 seconds, so you can constantly cast it. So within a duration of, what was the duration again? Almost like if you can increase the duration a little bit, we might be able to get 2 of these out, even if we fail the cloak and become visible again. Now, because there are so many enemies, I wanted to have health in case this cloaking doesn't work and we are out, because all the enemies will jump at you and kill you instantly. So you need to have some health in case this isn't working. So this is how I got this to work. And overall, I'm happy. I'll show you the footage later towards the video. Now what we'll do is we'll simply swap out the ambushed mod and we'll put Area Suppression. And you'll immediately notice the difference with the 2 mods. So with this one, this changes her 4th ability. The ambushed mod changed the 3rd ability. This changes the 4th one. And notice this. Almost got all of them. And again, we did this without cloaking. We'll do more damage when we are cloaked. Now this one doesn't do as much damage, but I found this to be more useful for clearing stuff. Okay, all dead. All 9 of them. You can see the range difference between these 2. And this is the key difference between these 2 mods. So when you're going into 400% dungeons, you can use this over and over and clear the enemies much faster. Now, the issue here with the way this works is the other one, when you hit enemies in cloak and you kill them, you go back into cloak and you can keep going and you stay invisible all the time. This one here, when you are in cloak, you'll do higher damage, but you'll become visible. So again, having a low cooldown means you can go back into cloak very quickly. So again, 3.8 seconds, and this time the duration of the cloak is 10.6 seconds. If the other mod had this kind of duration, that would be incredible. It will be like Freyna levels broken. So now if we go into cloak and we go like this, we kill everyone and we go into cloak again. We do this. We go into cloak again. We do this. So we have good cooldown and good duration on our cloak. And so another reason for having more duration on the cloak is you get more speed increase. You get 20% on the area suppression and you get 30% on the ambush mode. So you run faster through the 400% dungeons, trying to keep up with the bunnies, Frenas, and now VSA as well. So these are the benefits of the cloak and having a higher duration. Let me just show you the ambushed mode. So if you see here, you get 30% movement speed increase. Okay, I wish this had a little more duration, because you can see here 30% she's moving faster. Now unfortunately we have to hold the scout rifle in our hand, and that is a big gun, but it gives us the crit and we are saving on a mod. Otherwise I would ideally like to hold a pistol or something in our hand and get that. So you could simply have a pistol mounting handgun, and then during sections where there are no enemies or you're going from one area to another, you can have the handgun equipped and handgun mounted, I should say, and run faster with this mod and have the duration and run faster. And then once you get to enemies, you switch back to your scout rifle. So that is the two mods in action. Now what I'll do is I'll just go over the footage I have recorded earlier and show you in action and show you the big differences, the two main differences between the two mods in my opinion. All right, so first up we have Magister Lab and we are using the Area Suppression mod. As you can see here, today's dungeon have 90% boost to toxic, so that is why it's a Frena day today. So now let's just move forward, and I got kind of stuck here, but use your fourth ability, clear the enemies. Also, this dungeon is kind of good in a way because you have these narrow ways around the caves, so you can actually focus and do damage more to the enemies. Now, while playing this, what I noticed was that you have to be quite close to the enemies, like in their face, especially if you are trying to do single target damage to get the most out of the suppression, the knives that you're doing. And you can see here, this is a 400% dungeon, and we are going into cloak frequently to get the extra damage. Now, if you can get the Slayer set, for example, you'll do more damage and you may not have to do this, or you can use the Supernova set as well. So basically what that would do is you would be able to do quite a lot of damage and kill most of the enemies without being in cloak, if let's say your duration or cooldown isn't great, and you can still work with that. But this was good enough because I was going frequently into cloak and that was giving me double the damage, and I was able to clear it. So you can see here, of course, a Frena or a bunny will clear this so much faster that Frena will be strolling around with no care or worry in the world. She'll throw her cube and have a cup of coffee and everybody will be dead. With other Descendants, you have to work a little bit. But with SHAREN and the way this was working, it wasn't bad. It did not feel like, oh man, this is too slow or too boring. Although it was slow in some sections, it wasn't that bad. And for a change, you could play with SHAREN and get this done. So as you can see, I'm just trying to clear it. Like I said, with a Frena or a bunny, we would have already been at the boss room by now. Anyway, I'll just move forward to the next area with some enemies. So yeah, once again, you do damage. When you run into a bigger enemy, you try and, let me just go back here. This guy here, this is an elite. So you go into cloak in his face and then do the fourth ability. Okay, now we move on to the boss room. And now what I did was I worked with this guy, Ledrus, first. And once again, do the same thing. Go into cloak, go near him, and then do damage, like even closer if you can. You can see we are doing decently. Now, the issue I had was taking these things out, the orbs. This wasn't as easy. You can get it if you jump and time your jump properly, but this part took a little longer with Area Suppression. Anyway, just move forward to Greg getting killed. So Ledrus was easier than we worked on Greg. And I wanted to show you the times at the end. Okay, so let's see the clear times. Okay, 6 minutes 41 seconds to clear Magister Lab with Area Suppression. Okay, if you want, you can look at the damage numbers: 17 damage received, 763 kill count. Okay, now let's move on to the same dungeon with Ambushed and the same setup. So once again, remember the toxic skill power is at a boost for Frenas. So this actually makes sense. We are not getting a boost for electric or anything. Okay, same one here. Now what we do here is we stay in cloak, we throw our third ability, and you can see the 2.5 million damage we're doing. Now 2.5 million damage is too much for these guys. However, look at the speed. We are hitting a few people with a lot of damage when we would have worked with some lower damage but clearing more people. That is kind of what I want with areas with ambushed. I wish it had a higher, a greater radius of damage. So you have to stay in cloak. Now the issue with this one, in my opinion, is that the 4 seconds on the cooldown is just 4 seconds on the duration is just not good enough. I wish they had a little more duration. So for example, when you miss out on hitting an enemy or just misplace your throw, you can stay in cloak longer. So that's why I put so much cooldown into this mod. So in case we fail the cloak, we can still go back into it instantly and then cast our third easily. So once again, 2.5 million, sometimes more when you are in cloak. So this section compared to area suppression took much longer to clear, because you can see here we're hitting 2 enemies sometimes, we are hitting 3 this time, another couple here, we're hitting 4 or 5. You can see all these are still standing even though we are doing 2.6 million damage. This is the downside with the ambushed mode. Okay, so I'll spend quite a bit of time here trying to clear it, and then we move on further. You can see just explosions. Now we get to this area, more explosions. Now the strong point of this one, the strength, is single target damage is insane. So where is the, you can see that was an elite. You can see a single target damage, because we are doing so much damage, we can destroy single targets very easily. Okay, I'll move on to the boss room now. Okay, now we are at the bosses. We are working with, let me show you how it starts. So you have to go into cloak. This guy comes out, Ledras. We go into cloak and watch this. One hit is into his immune phase. And then watch this. All of them cleared out. The other guy, Greg, is here. And look at the immunity orbs. One hit, all cleared. So this is where this mod shines. So you can see here, both of them do the opposite. This one is good at clearing bosses very easily. That one was much better at clearing hordes of enemies in 400% dungeons much quickly. If this one was a little faster at clearing normal hordes of enemies, we would have finished this so much faster. So I'm just waiting to finish enhanced Greg here, then I'll show you the times, and you may be a little surprised with or maybe not with the times. Okay, so he is dead anytime. Boom, and that is it. Greg is out. And let's see the clear times. I don't remember if I pressed F2 or if we have to wait 15 seconds. Come on, why did I not press the F2? Yeah, there it is. So 9 minutes and 1 seconds. Surprising or not, let me know. 641 for area suppression, 9 minutes and 1 second for Magister Lab with ambushed. And we saved a lot of time in the boss fight with ambushed. With the first one, we wasted quite a lot of time clearing the 2 bosses with the knives and stuff. So yeah, that is the main difference. This is good at main boss damage or single target damage. That is good at sort of area damage and clearing hordes of enemies in one. So that is my build for Ultimate SHAREN. Let me know what you think. I tried to make it so that you can save up on the catalyst and use both of them if you prefer one over the other. I'm sort of okay with both of them. Like I said, you can see the benefits. But if you're playing 400% dungeons, I would probably go with area suppression. And at the end, I'll just pull out the thunder cage and work with that against the bosses. Maybe a sniper rifle or anything else here. You can use the guns against these guys at the end. Or if you are in a group, your Frenas will do the job and you can just work on the bosses with your suppression thing, with your ambushed. Both of them work depending on your playstyle. But yeah, let me know which one you prefer, And I would say I'm slightly more towards suppression, I think, if you think about it. But yeah, that's the SHAREN, ultimate SHAREN build. I think it's pretty good. Overall, SHAREN is good. But then again, Vrena and Bunny are miles ahead, like I said earlier. Anyway, thank you for watching if you did, and see you next time.